Jack is a young man living in a small town in Ohio. Every morning, Jack wakes up early, looks in the mirror, and sighs. He does not think he is smart or special. He works at a grocery store, stacking shelves and helping customers. Jack always nods and smiles when others tell him what to do. He does not really share his ideas, even if he wants to. He is afraid people will laugh at him or say he is wrong. At work, when his boss asks for someone to help with a new project, Jack looks away. Inside, he wishes he could step forward. But instead, he stays silent and lets others take the chance. Jack's friends invite him to parties, but he usually says no. He thinks, they do not really want me there. At home, Jack sits on his small couch, reading books and watching TV. In his mind, he remembers past mistakes. When he thinks about trying new things, he remembers how he failed before. This makes him feel even more afraid. Jack wants to change and hopes for a better future, but he does not know how to start. Each day feels the same, and Jack feels stuck. He wonders if he can ever break free from his own worries. One rainy afternoon, Jack is walking home from work. He feels tired. His shoes and jacket are wet. All he can think about is how he always does the same things every day. His mind is full of doubts about himself. He passes by a small bookstore. There, in the window, he sees a bright, colorful sign. The sign says, "Change starts with one small step." Below the sign is a table with some books about confidence and taking action. Jack stops and looks at the words again. Something inside him feels different. He stands outside the window for a few minutes, thinking about those words. Even though Jack does not usually buy books, he feels like he should go inside. He slowly steps into the warm, quiet store. A friendly woman at the counter smiles and says hello. Jack walks over to the table and picks up a small book. The cover says, "You are stronger than you think." He turns a few pages and reads a story about someone who also felt weak and scared. The person in the story started to do small things every day to become braver. Jack holds the book and imagines his life being different. Maybe, he thinks, I do not have to stay the same forever. Jack decides to buy the book. On the way home, he feels a small spark of hope, but his fear is still there. Can I really change? Can someone like me do it? When he gets home, Jack sits in his usual spot on the couch. He reads the first chapter. The book describes how everyone feels afraid sometimes. It says that brave people also have doubts, but they try anyway. Jack holds the book tight. He remembers times in school when he wanted to answer questions but was too afraid to speak up. He thinks about his job, about the ideas he had but did not share. The words in the book start to work on him, but his fears push back. That night, Jack lies in bed thinking about the story he read. He remembers the sign in the bookstore window, "Change starts with one small step." He wonders what his small step could be. He tells himself maybe he can try something small tomorrow, just like the person in the book did. For a moment, Jack feels a strong wish to try. But then, the worries return. What if I fail again? What if people laugh at me? These thoughts make his heart beat fast, but he keeps the book close to him. Jack thinks, if someone else can change, maybe I can try too. The next morning, Jack wakes up early. The rain is gone. Everything outside looks clean and bright. He holds the book and reads a few pages while he eats breakfast. Before work, he repeats a line from the book, "Every day is a new chance." Jack feels scared but hopeful. He does not feel brave yet. Still, he decides to think about that small step all day. At work, he tries to smile at a coworker and says hello first. It feels strange, but he is proud of trying. Jack is not sure what will happen next, but for the first time in a long time, he feels like change is possible. Jack walks into the grocery store feeling different. The words from the book are still in his mind. As he stocks the shelves, his boss, Mr. Turner, talks about a new project. They need a volunteer to set up a big display for an important sale. Jack always listens but never steps forward. His stomach feels tight with nerves, but this time, he remembers the idea of taking one small step. His hand shakes a little, but he raises it. "I can try to help," Jack says, his voice quiet but clear. Mr. Turner looks surprised but smiles and gives Jack the task. Jack is nervous. He does not know if he can do it well. All day, he plans the project in his mind. He wonders if the other workers are watching him. He worries about making mistakes. Still, he starts moving boxes and setting up signs. At first, Jack makes small errors and puts the wrong prices on some items. He blushes and quickly fixes them. His heart beats fast, thinking that everyone noticed. But then, one of his co-workers, Lisa, walks over and tells him he is doing a good job. "It looks nice, Jack," she says with a gentle smile. Jack feels a little warmth in his chest. Maybe he is not so bad after all. After the sale display is set, Mr. Turner checks Jack's work. He nods and thanks Jack for helping. For the first time, Jack hears real praise for something he did. It is only a simple display, but Jack feels proud. He did something new and did not run away, even though he was scared. This small win is important for Jack. He goes home and writes about the day in a notebook. At the top of the page, he writes, "My small win." When he feels nervous or doubtful, he reads what he wrote and remembers that brave feeling. Encouraged by this early success, Jack tries something else new. He sees a poster at the library about a free speaking club. Everyone meets once a week to practice public speaking together. Jack wants to turn away, but he remembers how he felt when he volunteered at work. His hands sweat, but he writes his name on the sign-up form. The first meeting is hard for Jack. His voice shakes when he talks in front of the other people. He cannot look up from his paper. His heart races, and he forgets some of his words. After he finishes, he sits down quickly and thinks he did badly. But then, one member comes to him and says, "Good job trying, Jack. Next time will be easier." Jack is surprised. No one laughed at him. The group claps for each speaker, no matter how nervous they are. These small moments show Jack a new way forward. He makes mistakes and feels fear, but he also grows a little every day. His worries do not go away, but something stronger starts to grow inside him. Each small step, each tiny win, gives him more courage for the next day. Jack smiles as he realizes he can be braver than he thought. Even small actions can open new doors. Now, when he reads the book at night, he underlines the lines that say, "Keep going, even if it is hard." Jack feels the truth of these words in his own heart. One morning, as Jack puts cans on the highest shelf at the store, his boss, Mr. Turner, calls his name. Jack's heart beats faster. Mr. Turner explains that the store must host the annual community event this month. Each year, people from the town visit, and the store teams have to present new ideas for next season. Mr. Turner looks at Jack and asks, "Would you like to lead our team this year and speak at the meeting?" Shock spreads through Jack's whole body. Memories fill his mind. He has always stayed quiet during meetings. He is just a simple worker. Now, everyone will look at him, listen to him. What if everyone laughs or he forgets his words? What if he makes a silly mistake? His throat feels dry. He almost says no, but the memory of his small wins at the display and at the speaking club comes back. Something inside him struggles, pulled between saying yes and running away. Mr. Turner waits for an answer, his eyes calm and steady. Jack can barely hear his own voice when he says, "I can try." The words leave his mouth, but the fear does not go away. As soon as his boss walks away, worry drapes over Jack like a heavy blanket. At home, he paces back and forth. He stares at the blank page in his notebook, unsure of where to begin. He tells himself, "This is too much. Why did I agree?" His legs shake as he imagines standing in front of so many people. He thinks of his old life, always safe in the background, never catching anyone's attention. Jack fears he might disappoint Mr. Turner and his team. More than ever, he is afraid to disappoint himself, thinking all his small wins might not be enough. As the days pass, Jack tries to prepare, but self-doubt whispers in his ear. He writes notes but worries his ideas are not good. He stands in front of the mirror and practices his speech, but nothing sounds right. He remembers his speaking club. He goes to a meeting and tells the group he is scared. One woman, Maria, gives him a kind smile and says, "Everyone feels scared the first time. That's how we grow." Jack wants to believe those words, but fear holds him tight. At home, he rereads his favorite parts of his book. He sees the line, "Courage is not the absence of fear." Courage means moving forward even when you feel afraid. Jack keeps the page open on the table. The night before the event, Jack can hardly sleep. He dreams that he forgets his words, or the crowd grows silent after he speaks. He lies awake, staring at the dark ceiling, his mind running in circles. He gets up early and walks outside. The air feels cool and clean. Jack stands still and tries to breathe deeply. For a moment, he remembers the small steps that brought him here. The praise from Lisa, the smiles at the speaking club, the display he finished at work. Even if he is scared now, he did those things. He repeats this to himself while the sky grows brighter. As the day of the event arrives, nervousness spins in Jack's stomach. He puts on his best shirt, grabs his notes, and heads to the store. He sees chairs lined up, lights, and people already walking in. Jack's hands tremble, but he quietly joins his team and waits his turn. The voices around him blur together as he feels every heartbeat. Jack knows this is his chance, a moment that could change how he sees himself forever. Even though the fear is huge, something else grows slowly inside him, hope that he can make it through, one step at a time. Jack stands behind the curtain, holding his notes. His hands sweat, and his heart pounds like a drum. He hears people talking and laughing on the other side. The noise grows louder as more people come inside. His team stands beside him, watching and waiting for their turn. Jack tries to practice his words in his mind, but they become mixed up. A thought flashes through his head: what if I forget everything? What if I say the wrong thing? Jack closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, just like Maria from the speaking club taught him. He remembers the line from his book: courage means moving forward even when you feel afraid. Jack repeats this to himself, over and over, quietly. When Mr. Turner appears and says it is time, Jack's legs shake. He walks out to the center of the room. He faces the crowd, feeling hundreds of eyes on him. For a moment, he almost wants to run away. The light feels too bright, and for one long second, he cannot say a word. All his fear and doubt feel heavy against his chest. He grips his note cards tightly, forcing himself to look up. He sees Lisa in the crowd. She waves and smiles at him. Jack also sees Maria from his speaking club. She gives him a thumbs up. Jack's breath catches, but their faces help him remember that he is not alone. He reminds himself of every small moment that brought him here, all the small steps, the wins, the kind words from friends. Jack stands a little taller. He thinks everyone feels fear. That does not mean I am weak. I can do this, too. Jack opens his mouth and speaks. At first, his voice is soft and shaky, but he does not stop. He focuses on just getting the first line out. It is not perfect, but it is real. He looks at his notes, then back at the people. He sees some people nodding, waiting for him to continue. Their eyes give him more courage. Jack's words slowly gain strength. He starts to forget just how afraid he felt. He moves from one idea to the next, remembering all the points he practiced so many times. Halfway through, Jack makes a small mistake. He loses his place on his paper. The room goes quiet. For a brief moment, Jack feels panic around his heart. His mind yells, "You will mess up. Everyone will laugh." But then, he remembers to breathe deeply. Jack smiles at the crowd and says, "Sorry, I lost my place for a second." Everyone smiles back at him. They look patient and supportive. This small moment of honesty makes Jack feel even stronger. He finds his notes again. The words start to flow. By the time Jack reaches the end of his speech, his voice is clear and strong. He shares his ideas for the store with real feeling. He talks about teamwork, about trying new things, and about how one small step can change everything. Jack stands straight, looking around the room at his team, his boss, and the people he once felt afraid of. He feels the fear shrinking, replaced by something new: pride and hope. As he walks off the stage, the crowd starts to clap. Jack can hardly believe it, but he smiles wide and deep. The hardest thing he ever did became the best moment he ever lived. Jack thinks about how far he has come, from being too scared to speak, to standing in front of everyone and finishing what he started. He realizes now, it was not about being perfect. It was about being brave enough to try and to keep going, one step at a time. As Jack steps away from the stage, the applause still rings in his ears. He looks out at the rows of smiling faces. His boss, Mr. Turner, walks over and shakes his hand. "You did great, Jack," he says. Jack glances down, feeling waves of relief mixing with happiness. He still feels the fast beating of his heart, but now he welcomes it. For the first time, he feels proud of himself for not running away from his fear. After the speech, Jack joins his team. They crowd around him, offering kind words. Lisa pats him on the back and says, "You spoke honestly, and everyone listened. You inspired us, Jack." Maria tells him, "See? Each small step matters. You're stronger than you thought." Jack's voice shakes with laughter. He realizes that his fear did not stop him from speaking, instead, it showed him how brave he could be. He sees now that it is okay to be nervous. It is okay to make small mistakes along the way. What matters most is never stopping, even when things feel hard. Soon, members of the community event approach Jack with questions about his ideas. They ask him how he made the new plans for the store display and how he stayed calm in front of everyone. Jack takes his time to answer, remembering the nights he stayed up late practicing and the times he failed and still tried again. Now, he tells his story with a steady voice. Jack feels taller and lighter, like a burden has been lifted from his shoulders. That night, Jack sits on his couch and holds the book that gave him hope. He turns the pages and smiles at the lines he once read when he was scared. He remembers the sign in the bookstore window, "Change starts with one small step." Now, that phrase means something real to him. He writes in his notebook about the event and all the things he felt during the speech. He writes, "Today, I was brave. I wanted to give up, but I didn't. Maybe I will be scared again, but I know I can handle it." In the days that follow, Jack notices changes in how he sees problems. He faces new tasks at work with more courage. He gives his opinions in meetings, even if he makes mistakes. Not every day is easy. Some days, the same old voice of self-doubt returns, whispering that he cannot do it. But Jack has learned to talk back to that voice. He remembers his small wins and the big moment on stage. He remembers the feeling of the crowd cheering for him, not because he was perfect, but because he tried. Jack starts to help other people, too. He shares his story in the speaking club and listens to others who feel nervous about speaking. He tells them how scared he was and how taking small steps helped him. Sometimes, Jack even laughs about the old days when he always said no to new chances. Now, he is the first to volunteer, not because the fear is gone, but because he knows he can act in spite of it. This turning point changes how Jack thinks about himself. He no longer sees himself as just the quiet one who waits in the background. He knows the feeling of fear, but he also knows the excitement of growth. Jack learns that accepting mistakes and facing fear are parts of life's journey. He feels strong, not because things are easy, but because he keeps moving forward. In each choice and action after that big event, Jack proves to himself that he can grow. The belief in himself, once a tiny seed, grows deeper every day. This new confidence helps Jack find new paths in both work and life. Each time he is afraid, he remembers courage is not the absence of fear but choosing to try despite it. Jack's story keeps going, with every next step shaped by the day he let hope lead him, not doubt. Jack wakes up early the morning after the big event. The memory of standing on stage is fresh in his mind. He feels a new sort of energy, like a light inside him that did not exist before. For a while, Jack sits quietly at his tiny kitchen table, drinking coffee. His hands do not shake. He thinks back to all the times he was afraid and how he, just a short time ago, would never have imagined himself speaking in front of so many people. He smiles to himself, realizing how much has changed. When Jack goes to work, the grocery store looks the same as always. The aisles and the shelves are in order, and the familiar faces of his co-workers greet him. But he is not the same Jack he was yesterday. He notices he is walking taller, holding his head a little higher. Mr. Turner waves him over and asks for his ideas about another new display. Jack is surprised but pleased. He shares his thoughts simply and clearly, without hiding his voice or looking at the ground. A few co-workers, noticing this change, start asking him for advice on their own projects. In these moments, Jack feels pride warming inside him. He becomes more comfortable sharing his ideas, testing them, and accepting feedback. Challenging times come, as they always do. One afternoon, a shipment arrives late, and a major display needs to be finished quickly. Jack feels worry tap on his shoulder, but he does not freeze the way he used to. Instead, he asks Lisa and a new worker for help. Together, they rearrange the items and finish before the deadline. Jack still gets nervous, but now he chooses to act instead of hiding his feelings. He says, "We can handle this as a team." This simple sentence makes Lisa smile and the new worker less scared. In the following days, small problems arise, a shelf collapses, a customer gets upset, an order is mistaken. Jack catches himself feeling the old fear, but this time, he takes a steady breath and tries to deal with the situation calmly. He apologizes to customers and works with his team to fix mistakes. When he gets things wrong, he reminds himself that making mistakes does not mean he is a failure. In the evenings, he writes in his notebook about how these small setbacks help him learn. Every night, Jack reads a few lines from his book and adds new lessons he discovers from his own actions. The speaking club meets again, and Jack stands up to talk about his big day. He shares how scared he felt and how he almost quit before he started speaking. The group listens closely, and Jack notices a few new people nodding along. A young man, nervous and quiet like Jack once was, asks for advice after the meeting. Jack feels words come easily now as he talks about the power of small steps and not giving up. Encouraging others helps Jack realize just how far he has come. At home, Jack sees himself differently in the mirror. The old doubts are quieter, though not gone. He sees a braver person looking back. Jack finally understands that real change is not about being perfect. Instead, it comes from facing fear, staying open to learning, and treating each day as a chance to grow. The more Jack says yes to new challenges, the more his confidence feels real. Every action, every small risk, makes him stronger inside. As the days go by, Jack continues building this new version of himself, trusting that growth comes, step by step, with courage and patience. Jack's days take on a new color as he goes forward with his life. Not long after his big speech, he notices that people come to him with questions more often. Some are about work, like how to plan a display or talk to a hard customer. Others are about fears, worry, or how to feel less afraid when trying something new. Jack gives advice simply. He listens carefully and tells stories from his own past, like the time he could not even say hello first, or the evenings when he almost gave up on himself. People at the store and from his speaking club thank him and tell him his story made them feel less alone. Lisa, his co-worker, asks Jack for help with her nerves before she gives her first team report. They meet after hours in the store's back room. Jack helps Lisa prepare short notes and shares his trick of imagining talking to just one friendly face, not a crowd. He tells her about the shaky hands and fast heart, and how it really is okay to be scared. When Lisa stands in front of everyone and does her report, Jack sits in the first row, smiling and nodding. Afterward, Lisa grins and thanks him for his support, saying she could not have done it if he had not believed in her. This moment fills Jack with happiness deeper than any praise he got himself. At night, Jack starts to write more in his notebook. His words change slowly. The old pages were full of worry, but now he writes about hope, plans, and advice for others. Then, Jack remembers the people online who once helped him feel less alone. He decides to start a simple blog. He writes short posts about taking small steps, facing fear, and learning from mistakes. He shares bits of his story and adds easy exercises for building confidence, just like the speaking club taught him. At first, only a few people read his posts: a cousin, a co-worker, one friend from his club. But then, others begin leaving comments, saying, "Thank you, Jack," or "Your story helped me try too." Even people Jack does not know send messages asking for tips for speaking or fighting negative thoughts. He realizes that his small voice can reach much farther than his own town. Soon, Jack tries making simple videos with his phone. He records short talks about his journey, what he does when fear comes back, and how others can practice brave actions in safe ways. People from across the country watch the videos. A teacher from California writes to say that Jack's video helped her students before their first presentation. A shy teenager in Texas says the blog gave her ideas for speaking up at school. Jack never planned to reach people like this. It surprises and humbles him. At first, he feels awkward seeing his face on a screen, but then he remembers the power of trying, even when it is uncomfortable. Sharing with others changes Jack too. The more he helps, the more he believes in his journey. Each message, each thank you, is another reason to keep learning and growing. Jack understands now that everyone feels scared, but no one is truly alone. By giving back, Jack sees that his power is not just in speaking up, but in making space for others to do the same. His life becomes fuller, warmer, and brighter. Every new step he takes, Jack thinks about that sign he once read in the window: change starts with one small step. Now, he lives those words by helping everyone around him see that their next step is possible too. Jack walks through the town square on a bright Saturday morning, feeling calm and hopeful. The sun feels warmer, and the air smells sweet with flowers blooming around him. The world looks the same, but Jack knows he is not the same as he was months ago. He remembers the days when he would walk with his head down, afraid to look people in the eye or speak up. Now, when neighbors pass by or greet him, Jack smiles and talks with an open, easy voice. He enjoys asking about other people's days and sharing a laugh, feeling at home in his own skin. At work, Jack has become someone people count on. Mr. Turner now asks for his help with new projects, and Jack offers ideas clearly, even if he is unsure. When problems come up, angry customers, late orders, sudden changes, Jack doesn't freeze or feel helpless. He reminds himself of his strengths and moves into action. Sometimes things go wrong and Jack makes mistakes, but he no longer lets these moments push him back into his old silence. Instead, he uses mistakes as lessons, thinking, "What can I learn so I'm even better next time?" Co-workers notice that Jack is willing to listen and work together, and their trust in him grows. When new people join the store, Jack is one of the first to show them around and welcome them with a kind word. Outside work, new opportunities open up for Jack as well. He is invited to join community groups and help plan neighborhood events. At the speaking club, Jack gives short talks and cheers the other members on, eager to see them get stronger too. He meets new friends who share their own stories of struggle and hope, and Jack feels connected in a way he never did before. His words, once stuck in his throat, now travel far on his blog and videos, inspiring people he has never met to take one small step forward in their own lives. When someone writes to thank him, Jack smiles deeply and feels proud, not just of what he did, but of who he has chosen to become. Of course, not every day is full of victory. There are times when Jack's old doubts return, and fear sits beside him when something big needs to be done. But these thoughts are smaller now and do not force Jack to hide. Instead, he greets that fear as an old friend and uses it to remind himself that he is growing. Each challenge becomes a new chance, a way to practice patience, to learn, and to trust the journey. Jack keeps his first notebook close, looking over his story from the first steps to each new lesson. The words on those pages remind him that every bit of progress matters. Jack's life is more open and bright than before. He knows that improvement is not about being perfect or never feeling scared. It is about moving forward, trying again, and helping others do the same. Every small win builds new hope. With his heart open to learning and his mind strong, Jack looks forward to the future, confident that he can face whatever comes next with courage and a belief in himself that will never fade.